created a faith-bred helper. And they say, now this is the one that is fulfilled, the prophecy of us. Now how the hell are you going to go down and genetically create a faith-bred helper and say it's the prophecy being fulfilled with us? You see what I'm saying? So now they are actually in the prophecy business at this particular time because stuff is not coinciding with them. Also, we have to understand this. There was a part that happened in 1991 where the fake Jew went into Ethiopia and airlifted up some Ethiopians, the philosopher Jews, and they were saying in that type of thing that in actuality that we have fulfilled the prophecy because one day the so-called Cushi or the Cushite Jew was supposed to come home. So here's another way where the fake Jew is actually trying to fulfill prophecies at this particular time because time is running out. We're going into the millennium of whatever the deal is, and ain't nothing happening to him, and he's still getting fucked up over there, and all his leaders dying. And like one brother from Lebanon told us, if the United States government was not in on the whole thing with Israel, they could take over Israel in 24 hours, the Arabs of that whole land. And they're not fighting Israel, but they're fighting the United States government. Very key. England and all of that type of thing. What we also need to understand is something based on the Nephilim. Now there's a book called Breaking the God Spell, dealing with the actual Nephilim. The other book is you're going to have to go to a comic book store, and there's another book, and that's where all the stuff is. There's another big book put out called the Nephilim. And in that particular book, it has a lot of science, but they say who the Nephilim are. They say the Nephilim, make sure that the Nephilim are people, you will find most of the Nephilim in jails now. But they say it's a lot more than just them being oppressed. Basically, they are rebellious in nature because they have been around long enough subconsciously to see different laws change over the years, especially with these damn white boys. So therefore, they are rebelling against the actual laws and stuff. On a spiritual level, they are rebelling against the confinement of their spirit not being able to manifest on a high level. When we go into some ancient, we go some other metaphysical things tonight, we're going to break down certain laws that restrict us at this particular time. So let's go on. Moses anointed Aaron because Moses anointed Aaron. The Hebrew mythology, it was first an elaborate mythological system that was later on historicalized and turned into history. What is actually happening here is it was turned into actual history. So for every Hebrew character, it means that they never necessarily existed in history. So if you understand that, you can line them up with the Egyptian mythology. So Moses would be Tahuti in the Egyptian mythology. You got the staff of Tahuti, you got the rod of Moses. You see what I'm saying? You got the rod of Moses, which would be Tahuti also, is what it would actually be. Very key that you understand that. We're just going along, we're going to line up some things at this particular time, but I want to get through a couple of things right now on some Kabbalistic mysteries. The Jordan River that Jesus was baptized in is actually your Kundalini, because you are the Christ and you're being baptized by the river, which is the flow of the energy of your Kundalini. You see, in the angelic realm of the Kabbalah, you're supposed to have 72 deities, and also you have 72 spinal cords, even though you levels of the spine, because you also have a frontal level of the spine which is invisible, and the chakras line up on that. But you also have 32 levels of the spine, which in actuality you get your 33rd degree with, which is talking about 32 levels of the spine, which is 33 levels of the spine and 33 levels of actual consciousness, which has nothing to do with you going in some order and calling yourself a 33rd degree, when most black Masons don't even believe that the Kamites or the Egyptians even had anything to do with masonry, because most of them don't even know what an Egyptian is. You see what I'm saying? So, so that's very key that you understand that at this particular time. I want to get into some other things right now, and that is, let me see here, the history of Hermetica. The Hermetic text is some text that was in the Library of Alexandria that was smuggled out. The Hermetic text, if you ever get your hands on it, you can go and get this book if you can get your hands on this by Walter, what's this guy's name? Hermetica. I think his name is Walter Scott. And in that particular book, Walter Scott's book, they say the greatest thing that ever happened in the history of man is man was able to make a man. So it's in there, but it also says, right in the particular book, and I often wonder why the Afrocentric scholars would read certain material and then all of a sudden turn around and say that we still come from damn monkeys and apes, just like the damn white boy. Well, and in the material, the Hermetic material, it literally says that you got two races of men, and one of the races of men don't have a damn soul. Don't have an actual soul. And I often wondered, why is that? When I got the same books that some of the people, some of the same authors came and told me to get, and when I started reading this stuff, I find shit that was totally different. You see what I'm saying? That was totally different. That's very key, and I often wondered why that was going on. Going around, how many people saw this particular information on TV where they said that King Tut married his sister? It was on Discovery.
Sexual secrets from the pharaohs or something?
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, they did this whole thing. They really didn't even go into that. But they were trying to find out whether the Egyptians or the Canaanites at that particular time, what race they were. And they dug up a particular mummy, and they opened up the skull of this mummy, because they said that usually the brain was removed. And the guy took his hand and felt around in the skull. And when he pulled it up, he had this, he said there's some black resin that's in the skull. Did you see that? Which was in actuality melanin is what they was actually talking about. But this is what it says here. It says, the universal genetic truth about the Egyptians, royals, using DNA from 3,000-year-old mummies. What does this mean for our own genetic future? Now, I don't know if I mentioned to you the last time, but what's actually really happening here is this. They are interested in this because they have museums all over the country